Gary O'Hanlon here with another video for Johnstone beef, and today I'm going to be working with the double cut bone-in sirloin steak. Okay, absolutely beautiful, very impressive piece of meat. Not to be mistaken with the côte de boeuf, which is coming from the ribeye. This is the sirloin, which does bring us up in close to the forerib on the meat anyway. Very impressive fat cap, as you'll see on here, and again loads of marbling, which is exactly what you really want to see whenever it comes to buying beef. Okay, really good hallmark of good feeding, and that marbling is what trickles down in through the meat, bringing flavor all the way through. So not too many ingredients whenever it comes to this end of it. Okay, little sel gris, some sea salt all the way around. Another thing that people do is they tend, to forget about this part right here. I love to get a really good even coating of sea salt all over. Now that might look like an awful lot of salt. I'm going to salt fry here today. Just going to let the salt almost suck out the fat, suck out the moisture. It's going to hit the pan, creates a salt crust really. And again, there's an unbelievable depth. There's about 2 inches in depth there in the meat. And you'll have a lovely salty crust, but then you've got that depth in meat that's going to carry it, and you won't regret it. On them with some black pepper, some camp pot pepper. I was fortunate enough to cook at the Guild of Fine Foods last year after the Great Taste Awards, and got my hands on some camp pot pepper. Unbelievable stuff. So that's it. I've had that resting for about an hour. Okay, it's quite soft to the touch. You'll often hear chefs talking about, the softer the meat, the closer it is to rare as it cooks through. Pan has been on here now for a while. I've opened the windows behind me here, you can't see them. It's almost like one of those things that if you don't set off the house alarm, you're not cooking your steak right. So there's a good chance there'll be a few beeps here in a while. I'm going to drop this on right now. I'm going to come back in about 4 or 5 minutes. And the key thing is, do not be afraid to leave that steak on. Right, I've left this now about, I'd say 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. Haven't touched it, haven't moved it. And now the key is to do that, is to leave it. And now is to turn it and see where we're at. And look at that. That's a beautiful crusting right there. And we're going to do the exact same now. Drop it down, step away. And already now, you might not be able to see right into the pan here, okay? But I can already start seeing a lovely little gentle glazing of fat. That's coming down right through the marbling in the Johnstone steak. It's coming down into the pan, and it's just a rendering of its own natural beef fat. And we'll leave that now for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'm going to start searing the outer ends, and then we'll move on to our sauce. This is the part that a lot of people forget to get a nice little bit of a sear on, okay? Really important though, because the cap fat here, as you'll see, we're going to render down a lot of that fat now. But generally you'd have a cooler pan to render, but we are going to pull down a lot of that fat, and I'm going to finish this sirloin in the oven as well, so that fat will continue to render down and sort of help to cook the meat. But it's imperative that you get a seal on all the exposed ends of your joint, and that way you're not going to be, it's almost going to keep in that moisture. So right the way along here, you'll just move it like so, bit by bit, until you get the whole thing the same color as the 2 flat sides. Just one more little bit here now that I want to get a little bit of a seal in. I've preheated my oven here to 200 degrees and up like so. Drop it in. I'll knock this off for now, but I'm going to make my sauce in this pan. In with that. I'm going to give that about 14 minutes, and I want to cook it medium, just for that's how our house likes it, and probably about 12 minutes if you wanted it medium rare. This pan, we're going to come back to it in a while. I don't want to lose any of that flavour, any of that sediment, so we'll make our peppercorn sauce in this. Peppercorn sauce time now. So what I have here, I have 18 grams of whole peppercorns, white peppercorns, black, pink, green, Szechuan even. There's a nice little mix that I've picked up in the restaurant. But look, If you wanted my opinion on the absolute best, buy whole green peppercorns, make an incredible sauce. 18 grams, more than enough. Again, there's a snippet of fat in there from the beef and from the rendering process, and about 2 decent pinches of canned pot pepper. Just going to smoke these for a few seconds, moving them around, and just try not to lean in over the table. I mean, this way of smoking the peppers, it can, catch in your throat, so you just got to work fast. Now we're going to flambe, and just be careful with this for those that aren't used to it, alright? So there we go. And once we get a wee flambe of brandy, in with about 300 mils of double cream. Give that a wee mix. And now I hit it with some salt. So decent little, 2 good pinches of sea salt. Now I want that to reduce by half, and then we'll finish it off. At this point now, the cream has reduced down by half, and I'm just going to drop in some beef stock that I had, and I'm going to whisk this in. Little Knorr stock cubes are great. A lot of chefs, restaurants would have veal stock, cubes of it maybe frozen. But again, those little stock pots are absolutely excellent if you want to just use that. And let that come up to the boil, and that'll melt in. We're going to knock this off now, and then we'll get it back up to heat for when our meat is rested. So this has been out of the oven now for about 10 minutes. It took a bit longer than the 14 minutes, so I gave it about another 6, so almost 20 minutes all in, and it should be a well-rested medium. Now what I'm going to do to make my life easier as far as carving is concerned, you can see the bone right here. You just run your knife all the way along the back, and you just see how easy it is to take off that little piece of the bone, okay? Now I'm going to flick it around here, give you an intersection cut off it, and that's absolutely fantastic. So again, just from this side, I'll show you. You want to slice it against the grain. Two and three, and there we have it. I'll bring over our plate. So there's absolutely beautiful. So I've just plated it, absolutely beautifully set pink, and you'll see from the board there's no blood pouring all over the board, and on like so, a couple of little spoons of our peppercorn sauce, and there you have it, a beautiful double thick bone in Johnstone sirloin steak with a little peppercorn cognac sauce. Absolutely fantastic.